Alain de Botton opens the conversation by addressing the provocative idea that everyone marries the wrong person, not because of personal failure, but due to a fundamental misunderstanding of relationships. He clarifies that the title is ironic, highlighting how expecting perfection in a partner is both unrealistic and unhelpful. Instead, a good relationship is rooted in embracing the inherent flaws and humanity of both individuals. The idealization of the right person elevates partners into unrealistic figures, setting people up for disappointment. Adopting a gracious acceptance of imperfection, de Botton argues, is closer to the truth of love and fosters genuine intimacy. This view reflects a wider cultural struggle with loneliness and discomfort in relationships, with many people wondering if the scratchiness they experience is normal. Despite the abundance of digital communication, there remains a massive disconnect between the complexity of human experience and societal conversations on love. Many endure their troubled relationships in shame, questioning if they are the cause of the distress, when in fact, the complexity of love and human flaws means some level of difficulty is always part of the package. De Botton explains that romantic attraction often mirrors early childhood experiences of love, even if those early relationships were far from ideal. As adults, we seek in partners the quality of affection or acceptance we first encountered, which may blend nurturing with pain or unpredictability. This creates complexity because many people unconsciously look for the familiar, even when it's harmful or incomplete. This explains why partners often resemble parental figures and why many relationships are a dance of repeating early emotional patterns. Because childhood love is rarely perfect and is often mixed with elements of fear or distance, adult relationships inherit these dynamics. De Botton suggests that adult love is not just about fulfillment, but about seeking familiarity, which might not always align with flourishing. This adds a layer of difficulty to relationships that many fail to anticipate, contributing to disillusionment when romantic ideals are unmet. The discussion broadens to examine how cultural history shapes expectations of relationships, focusing particularly on the United States. Founded on the belief in perfectibility, that life and human nature can be perfected, the U.S. cultural myth fuels intolerant attitudes toward imperfection, including in love. This perfectionism amplifies dissatisfaction, with people more prone to ask, "What's wrong with me?" or "What's wrong with my partner?" rather than accepting life's limitations and the messiness of human connection. De Botton contrasts this with older cultural frameworks, such as Buddhism and traditional Christianity, which emphasize inevitable suffering and imperfection in life. These perspectives, while seemingly pessimistic, offer a more sustainable model, encouraging acceptance instead of relentless striving for an impossible ideal. The U.S. culture's insistence on perfect love and constant satisfaction creates a paradox where success and achievement in many areas coexist with personal frustration and loneliness. A personal anecdote about de Botton's parents' arranged marriage in the UK highlights an ancient cultural approach that embeds acceptance from the start. Unlike Western ideals of choosing one's partner based on romantic passion and intuition, arranged marriages come with an implicit understanding. Compromise is built in and expected. Knowing someone else has chosen your partner fosters a mindset of negotiation and acceptance rather than idealistic demands. This story points to how different cultural frameworks influence what people expect and tolerate in relationships. The arranged marriage model potentially prepares individuals to develop the skills of patience and accommodation from the outset. The West's focus on choice and ideal matchmaking, in contrast, can sometimes make even minor conflicts, like differing views on kitchen cleanliness, feel like insurmountable deal breakers. De Botton explores modern dating culture's obsession with red flags, the thorough scrutiny of any perceived problem or incompatibility, often leading to an immediate exit. While this vigilance serves a protective function against genuinely harmful behaviors, an exaggerated fear of imperfection breeds loneliness. If every sign of conflict necessitates a breakup, one quickly becomes isolated, left without meaningful connection. True love, he argues, requires a willingness to stay despite incompatibilities and to work through difficulties. Relationship resilience lies in the art of working with difference and navigating disagreement without catastrophizing it. This demands developing the skill of communication and the discipline of seeing the partner's perspective, acknowledging that no two people will ever fully agree on everything, but that generosity and patience create the basis for connection. Tracing the roots of romantic ideals to the early 19th century, de Botton reveals how the notions of soulmates and wordless understanding have distorted common understandings of love. Romanticism emerged predominantly among poets and artists detached from ordinary life's practicalities, giving rise to unrealistic expectations about effortless connection and perfect understanding. These myths make it difficult for couples to recognize the necessity of effort and intentional communication. In reality, long-term relationships require engaging with mundane but crucial topics, money, household chores, lifestyle preferences, that romantic culture often labels as boring or unromantic. De Botton challenges this dismissal, insisting these everyday negotiations are in fact deeply romantic because they underpin the flourishing and survival of love over time. The arts of negotiation and explicit talking about desires differentiate enduring relationships from fleeting passion. Illustrated by a humorous example of the differing ways spouses might place dirty pans in the kitchen, de Botton demonstrates how small everyday disagreements reflect much larger themes of individuality, respect, and learning in relationships. Such minute details are rarely trivial. Instead, they act as gateways to understanding each other's worldviews and boundaries. De Botton emphasizes that loving well involves becoming a teacher and a learner simultaneously, helping the partner understand one's needs and limitations without judgment or anger. Teaching here is not about correction or domination, but about gentle communication and ongoing mutual education. Couples with this skill set can navigate difference with compassion and patience, minimizing unnecessary conflict and fostering deeper intimacy. The conversation delves into how unprocessed trauma colors adult relationships. De Botton defines trauma broadly as unresolved pain that affects present behavior, often without conscious awareness. This lingering legacy shapes how individuals react, communicate, and form attachments, frequently manifesting as projections onto partners. For example, fears about success or vulnerability might stem from childhood experiences of conditional love or neglect. He highlights how early family dynamics, especially parental jealousy or emotional instability, can leave individuals trapped in self-sabotaging patterns, such as failing to succeed to avoid parental anger. Such dynamics can be bewildering since the behavioral consequences are often unconscious but deeply damaging. Understanding these patterns is key to breaking the cycle, requiring both self-awareness and patience from partners. Continuing the theme of generational transmission, de Botton addresses the parent-child relationship, noting that parents unconsciously project their unresolved fears and expectations onto children. For instance, parents who had to stifle vulnerability may struggle to accept their child's fragility, sometimes bullying or pressuring them unnecessarily. This dynamic demonstrates the difficulty of fully escaping inherited trauma, underscoring the need for self-examination by parents. At the same time, children can become powerful mirrors, reflecting back the parent's unfinished inner work. This reciprocal influence means that parenting is simultaneously a challenge and an opportunity for healing. De Botton cautions against overcorrecting, such as becoming permissive to an extreme after a strict upbringing, and suggests that balance and mindfulness are crucial for nurturing healthy children who can grow at their own pace. De Botton explores the complicated role of sex in long-term relationships, acknowledging the paradoxical taboos and misconceptions surrounding it. Sex, unlike many other forms of communication, involves a bizarre and intimate renegotiation of boundaries, such as the act of kissing, which may seem odd, yet is a profound declaration of closeness. He suggests that sex allows partners to harmonize or counterbalance tensions in their lives, offering moments of catharsis or role flexibility. The discussion includes how sexual preferences, or kinks, often emerge from unresolved personal tensions or unhealed trauma. Sex therefore acts as both a confrontation with and a potential relief from difficult emotions. Yet, the social pressures around sexual activity, like the expectation to share a bed, can misalign with individual needs, and de Botton asserts that intimacy can take many forms beyond sex. He encourages openness about preferences and boundaries for healthier relationships. Deepening philosophical themes emerge around the inevitability of suffering as a core human truth. De Botton relates ancient wisdom, from Buddhist teachings to Greek tragedy, which reminds us that life is fundamentally marked by pain, loss, and imperfection. Yet it is precisely through this recognition of vulnerability that joy and appreciation become possible. Love, particularly when it manifests as attentive listening and emotional validation, acts as a balm to trauma. Feeling truly heard by another human being creates emotional nourishment that mitigates loneliness and suffering. However, ironically, those most traumatized often initially reject love, unable to safely process its warmth. Healing thus requires time, patience, and relationships characterized by generosity and care. Towards the conclusion, de Botton shifts to practical advice for healing trauma, focusing equally on what to avoid and what to embrace. He warns against overcommitment and the frenetic pace of modern life, which leave little room for emotional processing. Excessive consumption of distressing news also drains energy needed for personal and relational well-being, making selective engagement vital. Nature is presented as a profound antidote, offering perspective by reminding us of the vast, indifferent universe. This cosmic scale diminishes the unbearable weight of personal importance and frees the spirit. De Botton suggests that healing thrives not just in active pursuits, but in modesty, calmness, and retreat, simple but powerful approaches that allow the vulnerable self to recalibrate.